Hello, my name is Anthony Giorgio. I came out of the closet at 16 in 1997, the same year Ellen came out. I identify as queer, use pronouns he, him, his, was a professional dancer most of my life. I'm obsessed with drag queens, love my husband and our fur babies, and my mantra in life is listen, learn, love. I have it tattooed right here. The reason that's my mantra is because I was sick and tired of hearing other people speak on behalf of communities they know nothing about. What I don't like is a person who has admittedly never had an interaction with a trans person speaking out about whether or not trans people should be involved in sports. What I do like is a person speaking out on behalf of themselves, meaning a trans person telling me, us, what it means to be a trans person involved in sports or otherwise. A little more about me. Throughout my early young adult life, I could always remember feeling angry, bored, and over the human race. Whatever. Through a series of unfortunate events, it's called your 20s, I eventually learned there is much more to do in life than just pushing through and just checking boxes. In the LGBTQIA+ community, I have taken on the role of a listener. Someone who continues to learn and does it all through love. I listen, learn, love. There's our mantra. In my work, I provide a platform for queer youth to tell me and others what it's like to be them. Most of them are trans, and they know exactly who they are and what their experience is. When I get the chance to speak with our youth in the community, most of their stories have the same theme. Please see who I truly am and love me for just that. Christine Jorgensen was one of the first American trans women that we know of to have sex reassignment surgery. I love this next part. My husband helped. In her famed nightclub act, she sings, "Love has always been my game. Play it how I may. I was made that way. I can't help it." Oh my gosh, Lady Gaga. So, when I sit down and chat with a 9-year-old trans girl from North Jersey, or go to a high school with 12 to 15 queer youth, or chat with my out queer African friends in Africa, or watch my non-binary drag queen friends perform, we get to see them for who they truly are and love them for just that. This is what listening to people's stories can do. Picture it. I'm in a classroom in a high school in New Jersey, full of queer, gender-bending trans youth who are there to tell me their stories. Everyone gets the chance to speak. Every story they tell is different and yet the same, and every story recorded can create a ripple effect of queer fairy dust that will take over the world with rainbows, unicorns, and pride marches forever. Language is very important. Language is a very important part of what it means to be queer, trans, questioning, and strong. Some of them are quiet and don't want to speak about who they are because at home they are worried about their adults judging them or kicking them out. In our conversations, I encourage them to identify the source. Why do you think your parents aren't accepting of you? What do you think that means, and how does that affect you? Picture it. I'm in India at a palace with the first and only openly gay prince, Prince Mavendra Singh Gohil. He's my friend. He runs an organization for HIV and AIDS education, and we're putting on an event for LGBTQIA+ people and their allies. I'm excited to have another opportunity to listen, learn, and love, to share more stories. In India, and what I experienced talking with the members of the LGBTQIA+ community was reminiscent of what I imagine it was like with queer people in the late 60s in America, the States, what we call the queer liberation movement. And in 1969, trans activists like Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson fought back against the law that kept them from being themselves, And in India, in 2018, queer activists fought back against the law that criminalized homosexuality in the whole country. And they won. They won because they are speaking out on behalf of what they know and who they are, and this is the power of telling your story. Picture it. I'm on a Zoom during a pandemic, and I'm chatting with out queer spiritual leaders from all over the world to have a discussion on what it means for a person to be who they are, who they truly are, and still have a relationship with something or someone of a higher power, God or whomever. The first conversation is with a person who came out at 39 because the very idea of loving God, of being gay and loving God, didn't seem possible. The next is with an out black woman leading the way for change in Pennsylvania. Then there the out black trans woman protesting in NYC every Thursday and still now for over a year for the right to have human rights, to be seen. And finally, an out trans man of God speaks in public in Africa to preach love, not hate. Listening is crucial to me. I know it sounds like a simple thing, but people have a really hard time listening. People have a really hard time listening. As adults, we tend to think about the next thing we are going to say instead of listening to what the other person is actually saying right now. We are already always thinking and not truly listening. When I sat down to speak with a group of queer youth at a camp in upstate New York, the rules were simple. When the time came, you got the floor. You told your story. And then when you didn't have the floor, you just listened. They had the chance to speak their truth through spoken word, poetry, and song. I heard every moment of pain, joy, and love. Learning. I like to learn about people. What's their story, how they identify, and what's their pronouns. It's okay to not know, ask questions, and find out. We have lesbian, gay, bisexual, pansexual, trans, asexual, intersex, non-binary. The list goes on and continues to grow. The willingness to ask questions is the key to learning. Choosing to be curious rather than judgmental. Google is amazing, and so is asking another human. What I have learned is that these youth really do know who they are at such a young age, and it's up to us to just listen and accept. Loving. I love to learn every day. I love challenging people and having conversations that make people feel uncomfortable. Some hot topics that always come up for me are marriage, gender, monogamy, sex, and the fact that I don't want to be called bro. Like ever. Well, that's another TED Talk for another time. I'm working through it. I would love it if queer and trans people got to make decisions about their own life. Bathroom, marriage, clothing, and a name. We have to love helping our queer, trans, non-binary community. We have to love loving them because honestly, if I don't love it, am I really going to do it? All right. Let's connect all the pieces. I have conversations with queer humans from all over the world, and they tell me their stories so that they can be themselves. They all talk about discovery, coming out, spirituality, anger, joy, sex, love, rejection, and basically all the things humans talk about. The difference is, they're not the ones who are different. It's those who react negatively towards them who are denying a basic human need to tell stories and be accepted. The biggest takeaway from it all is this: we all matter. Giving a huge, brave space for our beautiful, queer, trans, non-binary youth is extremely important. My mission is encouraging the next generation of queer youth from across the world to stand up for what's right. It can be done through social media, podcasting, protests, marching, flying a flag, putting a sticker on your door to show support. We must do it now, do it together. And we must listen, learn, and love. Thank you.